Okay, let's roll.
Hey everybody, welcome back to X's for Show. I'm Nico.
I'm Jonah.
I'm TK.
I'm Tori.
And that makes me your producer, KEVO.
And today we are here to talk about some Project Runway. Let's get into it. Ethan did not go home, and things have only gotten better from there. We had an unconventional challenge that was as unconventional as any episode I'd ever seen. First walk in the runway, first single judge, first group elimination, first time I've ever thought to myself, ooh, that's
First time host calls in sick to play hooky, and her best friend said, "Oh, if she's not going, I'm not going there either."
I'm not going either now.
So talk to me, guys. Unconventional. We're there. This is the unconventional challenge, and then it rolls into some ugly dresses. But how did you guys feel about that unconvention?
I loved it. Similar to Drag Race, where most people are waiting for Snatch Game to see who is going to be the big hitter, who's to be looking out for. When it comes to Project Runway, the big challenge is always going to be the Unconventional Materials Challenge. The entire series started with an Unconventional Materials Challenge. And it's always interesting because any great designer, you can give it designer fabric, they can make something out of fabric. What can you make that's not out of fabric? And you will be penalized for using fabric things. So I love it. It makes me happy. The fact that it was a tie-in with Abbott Elementary it makes me the most giddy man in the entire world.
And that they got the single most masculine and the single most feminine actor from the show. I just thought it was so great that Chris Perfetti was there representing feminine energy. And
You almost had that joke locked.
And Lisa Ann was there to remind me why I'm still gay. Thank you.
That's the one. How'd you guys feel? Because Tori, this was your first unconvention. TK,
Yes.
This was your first real unconvention. I'm gonna keep saying unconvention till it catches on.
I like
Good
It
luck.
was my first one on a standard season, but like I love that Tori and I are here for this time because it's perfect. This is like Snatch Game, and we have varying levels of experience now. So I am now used to everybody going, it's the Unconventional Materials Challenge. like it's a thing. Because now I've been through a couple of these. So like I was familiar enough with that phrase, but also don't think enough about this show to be expecting it. So when they announced it, I was like, oh, right, that's a thing they do. And was perfectly excited. This show is making some real choices when it comes to its own mythology, its own hype, and its own standards. Not just how it is subverting them, doing things differently, trying new things out, but what it is editing in that the contestants are saying about it. I think it's a little brave, but also a little like, if you guys want people to watch the show and think it's good, you should stop letting your contestants say that it's not going, like, not that like that the format that they're using and the ideas that they have are not going well. So this was fun and interesting for me. I knew just enough to have like something of an expectation, but knew so little that I really got to be wowed and just have a little bit of fun. And then of course I was just kind of struck by the property synergy of putting another freeform ABC Hulu show in the mix.
Yeah, I think for me, I was really fascinated because I spent the week of the unconventional challenge going, it's so fascinating to me because I've heard that this is like the big one. This is the one we all go crazy for. And then it felt like the show itself just kind of collapsed in and said, well, we're going to do the runway in the workroom and we're going to have just one judge and it's going to be a blind judging and it's just going to sort of be, okay, well, I like this was my favorite, this other one, these other two were kind of my favorites, this one, these three are the worst and this one's the absolute worst, okay, but like very little critiques otherwise, and then said, okay, now you all decide, and then bounced away. And I was like, this feels very strange for like the big episode. I guess it's sort of like when Snatch came, when they just decided Deja won and everybody else is gonna get fucked. Like, it feels very weird. I felt it being very weird, and I think actually having the fact that we can talk about 2 episodes makes me less upset, because allowing the unconventional episode to reach into the next episode, which has the full runway, double the models, and Nina Garcia has shown back up to work. Like, I was very happy that something that felt very anticlimactic was still going to have a huge presence in the show, because this one challenge took out 2 people, or will be, hopefully.
And, you know, it's really funny because, like, Kevo, you've had some, I'm going to say, affectionately cutting things to say about how some of the contestants aren't really coming to life, like Madeline, the person who maybe wants to do the least amount of things on screen at any given time.
What do you do successfully, Madeline? And can it be marrying me? I'll make you happy. I won't let you cry.
She's lovely, but
Yes.
quiet and still.
Yeah.
Her?
Yeah, this is one
Her.
of your types. This is one
Laura
of your
Ingalls
This is
milder
the other.
over
You're
here.
like-
This is the other half of Tori's type.
No, you're like Nico. You have certain types, like ninja, like a whole deck of Ninja Turtles, and this is definitely a Tori type. I see it. The other one with the face is a very different Tori type. This is not my type of person. She is not giving me great energy. God, this was and this was such an interesting. She did give us an interesting moment of television, though, in that she was part of the dramatic cliffhanger at the end of this episode.
So many tears for safe. So many tears.
And she was safe, but
So
apparently
many.
the person who prize was her best friend on the program was not safe. We had not really gotten any indication of a deep friendship between them before now. And, you know, sometimes that's just how editing works, where they didn't do anything exceptionally interesting. They just talked a lot, you know, so we don't know what goes on. It's just that's so funny then how these things shake out, where she has this incredibly emotional moment against VJ. Yeah, I almost didn't, but you know, they make faces on this show. They really do. Artists are expressive. But you know, this was such an interesting dramatic moment for a season that has not really had a lot of drama outside of knock it off, twins.
Mm-hmm.
So watching, not to parrot what went on at Roscoe's for the second episode, not
Parrot.
this one.
Parrot away, baby.
Nelly brought up a very interesting point. Is if you watch a lot of Project Runway, a lot of designers, at least that they're cast on the show, often don't have a lot of personality, and not in a they're boring, dull, bland people. In a they're not TV personas. And so they're often a little bit more real people, just kind of going through some things, but it's not always the most entertaining. A lot of what we're watching the show for, and a lot of what the fan base wants, is we're watching it for the art. We're not watching this for the drama. We're watching it for the drama. We're watching something else. Not that drama isn't entertaining, blah, 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 whatever.
No, but yeah.
But part of why, Denali is theorizing, part of why Utica / Ethan gets so much screen time is just because Ethan has been on a reality TV show before and just has fun in the confessionals, and the producers kind of just eat it up and think it's hysterical when it's like the most like bland, like kiki, like straight people humor.
Oh my-
like straight people getting like their first dose of like queer humor.
I call it straight basic because, like, I give my straight basic at work all the time.
And they go wild.
They go wild. I'll just be
Yeah.
like, "Girl, stop it," and they'll be like, "No, stop to say it again," and I'll be like,
Girl,
stop it.
oh my god, who talked
Yeah.
like that?
So
Yep.
when you have someone, when you have Ethan who can just kind of do that, just wanted to have fun in the confessionals, and then they use a lot of it. We're not leaving a lot of room for these other people who might actually have interesting things to say or an interesting storyline or something, because they're in favor of something that might be a little more general entertaining.
"Well," and it's super great because Ethan is adorable.
Yes,
Yes.
it's very interesting to see that sans the twins and Ethan, everybody else seems to feel like they had to fight for story time and airtime, and the people with not as pronounced TV personalities like Madeline, they're just not showing it. So we get this, as you're talking about, this very intense, like she's having like a really hard reaction to it, And the other thing I also want to note is this is like the fourth like one-day challenge they got in a row. It's a lot. They're putting this cast through the ringer this season.
This feels like the end of production week 1, and they're all losing their minds a little. Like they haven't had a day off yet, is what this feels like.
And this gets me into the thing that I was saying about the choices that the show is making, because we started with 3 weeks of team challenges, and by the second week they were going, I don't want to do team challenges anymore, and we're not bringing the energy of like, oh, isn't this a tough challenge? They were bringing the energy of, this is not a good idea and it's not good for us. And that same thing has been happening with the one days, and the way they talk about, the way the Christian and the production staff talk about them, it does seem like they are choosing to keep doing them. Not that they will always be the same. Like, it would be one thing if every challenge this season was a one-day challenge and that was the new format of the show. The way they're talking about it seems to indicate that eventually they will have a challenge that is not a one-day challenge. Meanwhile, the contestants are continually saying like, this sucks. I hate doing one-day challenges. I'm collapsing in on like my exhaustion and the weight of this. And it just is... It's gone beyond putting them through the ringer, because also the show, Christian, Heidi, nobody's hyping up putting them through the ringer. Nobody's saying like, when we did this new season, we decided we would challenge you even more, and that's why we're doing this team stuff, and that's why we're doing one-day challenges, because we know that really tests you. They're just saying they're doing it, and the contestants are miserable about it. So we've reached this point. All these episodes, what are we, 4 or 5 episodes in?
5, yeah.
5 episodes in, where like mostly the contestants have had it with the format of the show that they're on. And the only thing about that is the editors are cutting in them saying that. Like, somebody chose to be like, yeah, let's definitely put our contestants actively talking about how they're miserable with the format. Now, again, not with the challenge, and not like, oh, isn't this difficult? They do a little bit of that too, but a lot of them are actively like, I'm just sick of doing this. And I think that is a very interesting choice for production and for editing to say, let's make sure we put that into the episode, rather, because they could cut around it and they could just have it be, seem at least a little more hype.
They didn't zero in on it, but that is sort of what it felt like. Part of what Millennia's moment was of, I had a model that was excessively a different size from the model that you then later gave me, that dramatically affects the garment, especially with the amount of time that we have to sew. After last week, where Heidi Klum just forgot she had another thing, and then Nina didn't show up, and then we all had to vote one of our people out, because who's going to make Law Roach do that by themselves? Like, it's all so much, and it does feel like that is part of what she was trying to communicate here, but didn't get it out. Meanwhile, Law Roach gets to call people rude. I don't love how much strong language Law Roach gets to use about the contestants, when it does kind of feel like some of what the contestants are trying to say is this what we signed up for?
I just want to communicate, because it kind of feels like something. I super agree with Denali, and I just want to say, much like the I at the end of her name, I would also like to come at the end. And so with Denali, I love the joke didn't land. I got such a head shake.
Nah, you're good.
Well, I feel cute. So,
you are.
I love Denali having
Melania, baby.
No, Denali having this
Roscoe
perspective at Roscoe.
Oh, okay.
That's where the head shaking from the joke.
Yeah, I was so confused because she was still on screen. I thought you were talking about her.
No,
okay.
Thank you so much. So, I feel. Thank you for looking out for me too.
Yeah.
Because so Denali said that one of the things is that it feels kind of like with Drag Race, it's you in your art, living your truth, doing your thing, going through your struggles, having those hardships, but it's your art, it's you. And Mama, when you're cut because you and the girls are friends, you're going to like talk about it. It's going to be one thing. But Project Runway is physically, psychologically, emotionally wrenching. And like, these girls are broken. And like, to know that Utica, who's done both, and is one of the few people who can say she's gotten decently far in both, to say this, to say, yeah, I agree that there are ways in which, because I'm certainly not here to say that like anybody has ever had to lip sync for their life. Okay, as much as Nick Veros would have loved to lip sync for his motherfucking
Chris
life.
March would have won.
Chris March would
Rest
have
in
won.
peace.
So rest in power, Chris March.
Rest in power.
But I feel like you guys are really right. The fact that you go into these things thinking you understand the social contract, you know, TK, to your point, you think you go in understanding what Project Runway is going to be, and then you get here and it is just, you think you signed up for the Wizard of Oz, but you definitely are in an independent production of Over the Rainbow.
And it's a set.
It's a set, Broom.
It's a set, Broom. Please go.
Well, you know, and it's tough because they had to have known they were coming to a new show.
Oh, that's a great point.
I mean, did they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes and no. I would assume when it's moving networks in the way that it had, like, if I'm signing up, I'm doing my research, and that is me. You know, you're right insofar as like not everybody is going to do that.
Or know what it means.
Or necessarily know what it means. Absolutely.
A lot of people think that if you move networks, you get like a bigger budget and you're getting into your fancy new house and you get to do things.
Yeah. So I guess it's more like there was an opportunity to know that you might be in for something different. And I would be very, you know, there are contestants like VJ and like Jesus who have experienced both. And there are contestants that have just watched it and didn't really know. So it's, I imagine that I mean, if nothing else, I really do imagine there has to have been some real shock about the teams in the unconventional and the one-day challenges. Like, regardless of whether or not you knew you were coming on to a different show, that must feel a little bit like, had I but known this was going to be how we do it, I might have like gotten a week more sleep before, you know, just anything. And again, like it shocks me that they're showing so much of this just like beaten down reaction, because it really, again, it's not giving, oh, I'm being tested. It's giving, you guys bait and switched me.
It's one thing if the challenges are, you know, you get your challenge in the morning, you work all day into the night, then you get your couple of hours in the next day to go to the runway. They're doing that, and then it's that night they're getting the next challenge and starting the next challenge. They're not even getting like a day break. They're like going back to back to back, and it's a lot. And I forget, it was in season 17, and this is a while ago, when Christian was first mentoring, there were a couple of people taking a food break because they were working. It was a 2-day challenge. They were taking a food break.
And then he would go on to hire him.
He didn't even want to hire him.
He would then fucking hire this guy.
So they were eating, and Christian was like, "Y'all, you guys are all done? You're just eating? When I'm working for a show that I have to do in a week, I don't eat for a week." And it was like, Christian, relax. These are not all famous designers. And one of the contestants was like, Christian, come sit down with us and eat. Just come sit down and eat a little bit. It was just, yes, there are certain things, especially when you're operating at the level of a Christian Siriano, that, yeah, if you're putting a show together the week before the show, you're probably not getting a lot of food and sleep because you're working so hard to get it done. But this is a TV show. We're trying to highlight and showcase the best new designers of the upcoming world. Like, what are we doing here? Like, can we just give them like a day break? I also
think Christian eats, even if he's working on a week. Christian and the staff that he pays a lot of money because he's earned a lot of money and should. I feel like Christian eats.
Well, and I just want to say, I feel I'm gonna pass the mic back to you. I'm gonna let you finish, but I also love that Christian was like, I'm sorry that you don't think you'll ever have to cut a friend is so short-sighted and
I actually really, because that was the most mentoring he ever did.
I feel
to be like, hey, like, this isn't personal. This is just a thing that's happening right now. We don't need to be crying. And like, yeah, if you don't think you're ever going to have a moment like this.
And that was even like, so I do think that sometimes he doesn't eat. But I think he does. And I think sometimes he does give a designer that he thinks deserves another chance but didn't belong on Project Runway another chance and lets him become his assistant and then tortures him on set. I do think these things could happen.
And they did. He is being facetious. He's not, there's a way of saying sometimes you're just working, you're really crunching and you just don't get a lot. You don't have a lot to, because you have so much to do. You don't have a lot of times to take a break. And if he said it that way, that's the actual mentoring real life advice, not the good TV soundbite of I don't eat or sleep for a week. All that is to say, this episode, the first episode 4, was just weird and bizarre. Everything about this was a fever dream. Nothing makes sense. Why did Heidi get to play hooky? Why did Nina get to play hooky and just not show up?
Wacky, wacky, wacky.
The only person to show up to work who I appreciate what Law brings from Law's perspective as a stylist and image architect, but Law is not a designer. Law does not make the clothing, nor does Law wear a lot of it. Not that Law's opinion isn't bad, but having Law be the only person who decided the top and the bottom, I did not agree with the episode 4 bottoms. The tops, yes. I thought the top, that's not true. I do not think Yu Chen should have won. But I appreciated for the storyline of Yu Chen talking about how much Lady Gaga meant to Yu Chen growing up, feeling like Lady Gaga saved him, and creating a look that was very Gaga when Gaga was first starting. She doesn't do that crazy. She doesn't wear that crazy stuff now. Even though that she's now back in her weird era, she's still not wearing that.
And see our inevitable coverage of what is going to be whatever happens with this mayhem tour becoming a residency somewhere.
Well, we will find a spot there.
I didn't hate Law getting an opportunity to stand on his own, because I feel like it was even necessary, and it felt even necessary at this point, because so far Law has gotten to be the Michael Kors slutty, making snide little comments of the season, and I liked the idea of Law having to give even-keeled critiques without being able to rely on the ladies and the guest judge to back up the snarky comments. But this was not the challenge. The unconventional is not the challenge to make Law make those decisions on his own. So it was weird. It just all felt weird. You know, part of you wants to be like, it's cool because yes, it was unconventional. So it's cool the runway was unconventional and the judging was unconventional. But, you know, you hear whispers about why, and it doesn't feel organic. So it just feels kind of unfair to the people who end up going home. And it really fills in why they carried this into the next week. Because, you know, you kind of did need to do more with it. It was good that Nina and Heidi got to see them and comment on them. They got to walk the real runway.
And I actually want to hype on that because you said something so important there. You feel that Law is playing the role of a Michael Kors, and I agree because he is being the funny one that you can meme. The person I think that suffered the most when Heidi left was when Heidi left, Nina had to stop being the voice of realism and had to become the voice of softened realism. This is actually a little bit... This isn't that mean for Heidi. This is pretty on par for Heidi. This is unbridled Nina. This is the most intense we've seen Nina since maybe Kelly from the Deli. This is like the hardest we've seen Nina go since she literally thought Ashley had no taste. This is hard edge Nina. And when there was no Heidi to also be hard for Nina to be harder than, when the person being hard was Elaine Welteroth, who could literally take any piece of coal and make a beautiful diamond. Like, she was never going to be mean. I feel like one of the things that the judging is back to is this is what it's like to hear somebody say your shit is ugly. And for a couple of seasons, we had, but I love what you're doing. It's beautiful. It's coming from a great place. No, stuff is ugly. That's just what it is.
It's
17 through 20 were notoriously a little nicer to the contestants than 16 prior.
They're out of control nicer.
I will say it has lucked out this way for the most part, except for a couple people who went home.
Not
that
so lucky.
Somebody has something nice to say, and they highlight that it's good that this is controversial. That's exactly what happened with Antonio, where Nino was really, really, really harsh, and Law really, really liked it. And I think it was Antonio. Might have been who's the Melania and who's the third person at the bottom?
Madeline.
It might have been Madeline. But they said really specifically, like, it's good that it's causing this much of a reaction. It's good that, you know, somebody likes it and somebody hates it. And I really feel, you know, at the very least, most of the time, the people in the bottom get a good critique. And when they've all been bad, they've been less harsh than when, you know, the really harsh stuff usually ends up coming relatively balanced. So it doesn't feel like they're just beating up on them. It feels like, you know, somebody's noticing some things and saying, I don't like this. Somebody's noticing other things and saying, I do. And again, like, none of it's personal. This is just kind of what has to happen. It's been interesting watching a lot of the critiques. And I do think it was sort of the bummer of having just Law for the unconventional materials, is that it doesn't really work if it's just one person and there's no, he was pretty tame for him. And that was nice because he's been really, really harsh a lot of the season. And I think being up there alone, it would have been a danger for him in terms of audience reaction to just seem really horrible. But what it meant was they didn't really get the full suite of critiques for this really creative thing that they were doing. And I do love that the following challenge was a companion challenge to this one. Because it did give everybody a chance to weigh in on the garment a little bit, the unconventional garment a little bit, but it gave them a chance to also weigh in on everybody's creativity, because really it becomes like another dimension when you have to make a conventional companion piece to an unconventional garment. And so I don't know, I just thought we got a lot of great critiques out of it, a lot of really interesting stuff. I really, you know, KEVO, I have had a very strong reaction as well to Madeline, and I've been trying just like not to talk about it because it would just, I was like, I'm going to come off as really mean on the show. But yeah, I mean, she really, like, personally, I'm just like, what the fuck what are you doing? A lot of the time I'm just like, the talking heads that we're getting and then the reactions that are getting, she'll be like, I am so sad. This is my best friend. And I'm just,
it's classic Project Runway character, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But then I find myself really responding to the garments. And so I had a moment where I thought her companion piece was really good. I thought it really, as like a way to reference the original, I thought it was totally like, I really responded well to it.
Actually, that reminds me of something I really wanted to get everybody's opinion on. And Tori, I want to start with you because I need to make sure this comes up or I'll get in trouble. Tori, I understand that you took your giant red line off today because you didn't want to get hit with a plagiarism suit.
It's just that, you know, we made redlining illegal in the states of the United a long, long time ago. And I just feel that we shouldn't bring it back.
One red line. Evidently, you cannot have one red line or it belongs to Utica Queen. And everyone else is plagiarizing. I guess my question is, I'm sorry, but twins and Project Runway, I'm here to shit on it. So, like, if it pisses off a twin on Project Runway, I'm probably for it. So, red lines, where do you guys land? What side of the red line are you on?
I'm on I honestly don't think the twin was trying to do Utica's thing. I think out of all the people in the room, I think the twins are secure enough in their own design skills that they would not be looking around too much.
I'm sorry, they're such copycats that there's two of them. I feel like perhaps they are super into copying.
They multiply.
No, I'm with Tori. I feel like if there was copying, it was incidental.
Yeah.
I want to echo those sentiments. I do not think it was intentional. I do not think it was, the idea was to say, well, Ethan did this, so I'm going to do it on my thing. However, as they pointed out, it is the exact same color and the exact same fabric. That's where I think the allegation and the idea came from, especially when they had just saw it literally 2 days ago. Yeah, not even do the reality
That's
TV
fair.
thing. We're
That's
pretending things
fair.
happened a week ago. Literally, they saw it 2 days ago.
That's fair.
Yeah,
And honestly,
they
it's the last thing Nina saw.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, because Nina wasn't there.
Last thing Nina saw,
I-
last thing Heidi saw.
And it's fine if it's unintentional in terms of like he was like, I got this idea for a garment, I think I want to put a red stripe on it. What gets me is, how do you not yourself remember that it had, like, that he didn't in any way acknowledge it or say, you know, because if he had said, no, I remembered that Ethan did that, but nobody owns a red stripe.
Right,
And I thought, you know, it was that he was like, I didn't even know this was a thing. That
I've never met this man before in my life.
Yeah, exactly. I was just a little bit
also-
like, you don't also remember 2 days ago? Where are we?
I think the twins are a dual sun solar system, and so they can't see anything besides
they
themselves.
don't really. I definitely get it, but
I also think they're parent trapping, and they're just swapping places.
yeah, constant. There's
There's a third
yeah.
named Roger who
Yeah.
is switching in alternatingly.
Oh, Jesus, Antonio, and Roger.
Okay, tell me a better third
Yeah.
name that sounds okay on
Yeah.
the spot.
Jorge.
I would. Well,
Carlos.
also you're Latina too. You think of any family member you have from
And you would know.
outside of your
What do you
family.
mean, Antonio and Jesus, my Italian brethren?
I again, it's like I totally believe also that the twins are completely in their own orbit, but I just would never be caught unaware. Like I would have lied. You know, I don't just that he had nothing, and he was just like, who knows what happens in this world we all live in.
Or did I even come up with something where you're like, I believe that there is something about the knife in a dress, and this can slice through
Sure,
anything.
like,
and
have
come
any
up
kind
just
of
like
answer.
fucking spew 15 words like
Yeah.
it's 7:45 a.m. for an
Yeah.
8 a.m. class. You gotta.
I will
yeah.
say
Lie to me,
Utica
make me feel
came off
Yeah.
the best because she did the drag queen thing, which was to be so demure and say, I don't know if I would call it plagiarism, so that she seems really serious. And she did. I thought, you know,
Yeah.
a Candy Muse in this context would have been like, I do actually own this, and I'm going to fist fight you about
Right,
it.
because
But
Utica
then
did
she-
see it in the workroom
Yeah.
and was just like, well,
yeah.
if that's how you're gonna be. Whereas someone who was angrier might be like, hey,
Yeah.
what's that?
But that she capped off her confessional going, but if Nina says I own the red stripe, I guess I do. Like, again, just great branding, great attitude.
Mhm.
Very pleased
Merch.
for her.
Merch.
You know, just
Merch.
for somebody who went off on just an unfortunate note, considering how great she was. Unless something goes really, really wrong from here on out, even if she is not one of the top 3, which feels less and less likely, she will have gone out just really seeming like
Notable.
and like she absolutely has all of her shit completely together.
There is
You don't think she has a chance of being top 3?
No, I'm
we
saying
do.
I think
Oh, okay.
I think it's likely that she will be. I think it's unlikely
Okay.
that she won't be in the top 3.
Gotcha.
I just want to stress that perhaps the second most loved designer in the history of Project Runway came in 4th.
Oh, Jennifer
And-
Hudson was 8th. Like,
Yeah, like the Austin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Robbed King.
Just robbed. And it was robbed because
Yeah.
the winner was determined by the guest judge because they were wearing the dress. And then they wore the dress anyway at another award show because they liked it so much. So 4th place can be something really powerful on Project Runway. But what's actually really important, I think, is Utica is capturing something really special and really rare. And we kind of see it in Joan. Joan getting to have this story of cancer survivor who had been on the show, had to give it up, got to come back. We see shades of it, of course, because that's exactly Tamisha's story, isn't it? So good job, Utica.
And Utica voted for both of them.
Good job. Nice job.
Both cancer survivors.
Great job, sweetheart. You're killing it. And like
Thankfully not.
we we see these beautiful stories about people overcoming. And I think something that's really funny is Utica is kind of like every talented arts kid that flopped. And like Utica did not have a great showing on Runway on a Drag Race for how talented she is. And seeing her have this this universal victory lap where she gets to reclaim her identity, I think part of what's making this season of Project Runway really interesting and beautiful and exciting is that the show is itself kind of Ethan. The show is back again, informed by the world of queerness created by Project Runway and Drag Race and the evolution of where we are since 2003. Old contestants are back. VJ is actually from another competitive fashion show. So, like,
And auditioned 12 times.
and auditioned 12 times. This is a season about comebacks. Like, this is a season about return to form. And I think the strength of so much return to form being baked into it is creating a meta-narrative, making it hard to deny the show's success.
Much like there is so much conversation about whether or not the twins is an unfair advantage, is there something to be said about the fact that Utica, VJ, and Jesus seem to keep being in the top? Not like, you know, it is their fault that they're doing so well, but like we've said, Ethan has experience in reality television. Is that something that we should consider a leg up? You know, I poke fun at Madeline, but she probably did not expect all the trappings of reality TV, and that has nothing to do with her artistry.
There's something to be said about the contestants of Drag Race where being on stage and having that sort of stage presence and performing
Is part of it.
will lend itself a little bit to going on reality TV for the first time. Again, there's still plenty that you probably are not going to get used to, like having a camera in your face 24/7 while you're filming. Having things like hard ice where you can't speak, things like where filming takes a lot longer than what you actually expect it to, where you're standing on stage in your heels for 20 hours. I'm exaggerating. But there are some elements that, even if it's your first time being on camera full time, you're having sort of a stage presence, being sort of a performer, will at least give you some skills to lend to that. Majority of these people, outside of the people returning from a different reality competition or have been on the show before, probably have literally never been on camera performers. They're artists who make clothing. This is fully out of their wheelhouse. And so for the combining the people of they've been on a reality TV show before, they've been on this show before, they've been in front of cameras, they have an advantage and a leg up. They do, because they're already used to the certain parts of the uncomfortability of working while being filmed and while having everything that you say to be used against you within a court of law, Law Roach, if you will, that it is almost jarring and daunting. As when you add on top of that, a lot of what reality shows are doing are designed to stress people out and put them under pressure to make them crack, to make them have emotional reaction. Because in a way it is exploitative. We are exploiting these people's reactions and emotions because it's entertaining. It's unfortunate. There is a conversation to be said about the ethics of a reality TV show, but for what it is, once you get used to it, you kind of know what to look for and you know how to react a little bit better. All that is to say, can I segue that into Melania having some BS thrown at her? There's something to be said about her model just literally not showing up and the show just having to pivot and be so from my understanding, I was like, how hard could it be to actually find a model that was the same size as her, as a size 20? However, if they have a call time and they're already in the middle of filming and they have like 2 hours to find someone, that does make a little more sense in my brain of like, here, these are the only 2 models we have on hand, like literally right now. Does it suck?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. However, this outfit is still very ugly, and she still would have been in the bottom if her model was a size 20.
This is a dress that you can get at like at a mall prom store, and it's very well made and it's very well tailored and it fits very gorgeously, but it is not interesting or fun or even like color paletted nicely.
No.
Like to not even have like any shimmer to it at all. I don't know.
It looks like Captain Planet's mistress. I do not know what to do with this look. I also do not like her unconventional look, but we're not judging it on that one. I will, at least for this episode. Last episode, I feel bad saying this. I think she should have been in the bottom for that, because I'm exasperated. But a lot of her anger that she was talking about in the moment. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see. They're working us like a dog. All of that felt real, and I hate saying this, not applicable. The design, you maybe had what? You only get, when there's a 1-day challenge, you get about 4 hours the next day to work, and in that time, your model has to be in hair and makeup, needs to be styled, needs to be ready for the runway. So it's not even you have full 4 hours to sew. You really have a little bit less than that. I don't know what in those 4 hours she could have done to make this dress elevated to be a safe or a top position.
No.
I get that in her anxious brain, in her overworked brain, I didn't have this time being taken away from me from being thrown a curveball, which when Law said this happens all the time, no, it does not. No, that does not happen all the time.
And not with such a difference, because let's be honest, if you drop one size 0 girl in Fashion Week, guess what? There's 3,000 other size 0 girls right next door. Not to be an asshole. There's a million ways to do size 20. I think Law did it. Honestly, the best thing he said was, your tailoring is impeccable, and that's the part that you would have had to change. The rest of it is shit. And I was like, well, you're not wrong, because yes, if she had shown up and it was baggy and it was weird, they probably would have just not talked about it.
Yes. And so I think her anger and frustration at the situation, I only want to say real, valid, and true, but not applicable to why she's in the bottom.
It's literally Andre being bedraggled 20 years later. It is literally season 2. There's a famous contestant who goes on what is evidently a 16-minute diatribe about how exhausted he is, and from it, every Project Runway fan says, "I was bedraggled." And
someone brought a new vocab word to the fandom.
Well, we also got, where the hell is my chiffon?
Where the hell is my chiffon? And
Indeed.
this is such an ugly garment. It is just ugly. Both of them are ugly. It is bad one to the other. And the other thing is, I don't think this is the unconventional of, the retail of that. Yeah, first of all, Companion Piece is evidently my least favorite spinoff of One Piece, number 1. Number 2, they're both bad, and they look like, number 1, they're not in her talent. Her talent level is so far elevated beyond this. We've seen nothing but better than this from her.
She won episode 3 with a beautiful suit, corseted suit, pants, everything was gorgeous. She obviously can design. I love her ideas.
Yeah. This is flop era, not her other stuff was a mistakable success. This is just flop era.
This looks like a Disney princess dress, is what it looks like to me. These
I think she wishes it looks like a Disney princess dress.
Disney Princess Party City, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks because it didn't go well. What's really unfortunate is they spent so much time in the discussion making it worse for her.
That got cut for the.
It just. The Law said it exactly. It was going well when Law said, your tailoring is actually really great. This just wasn't a good idea, because it complemented, but then they pushed into this, her getting really verklempt and everybody else coming down on her. And it just it got really unfortunate and ugly when it was as simple as just this was a bad week for you. Your unconventional wasn't great, so your companion wasn't great for it, and I'm really sorry it all worked out this way. And here's a really good compliment: your tailoring was really good. So nobody here thinks you're untalented. This just didn't go well. And instead, just having to see her snap like that and push back like that in ways that were really real, but I feel like the show didn't give her response a forgiving context. And
I would also say that her attitude is similar to how Antonio's was in the first episode, and I got a bad. I don't know. They might send Madeline home, but I got a bad feeling that they're going to send Melania home for the.
I too think
for the
Melania's
attitude.
Home. Yeah,
but we're not sending the guy home for the attitude, and I don't know how I feel about
Which
that.
we're
not sending the guy home because he also has utility as a twin.
I especially don't love because there was a lot less context for Antonio's attitude.
Right. They had just gotten there. Nobody was tired yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her feeling frustrated and tired and at a breaking point is absolutely so relatable and understandable. I also want to note what she had sketched out isn't what she designed. Her sketch looked better and looked a little more innovative. I think would have pushed her towards safe. I
don't
imagine,
think she could have constructed.
but it's a one-day challenge. She might just not have had enough time for her idea.
Yeah.
She's not. I hate to compare it to Ethan, but Ethan making 2 garments and then halfway through deciding I had to scrap one of them, and still ending up in the top. Arguably should have won, but I'm a delusional Utica fan, so I'm going to say Utica should have won every week except for the 1 week she should have gone home. I bottom placement, but not home worthy for me. I will say, looking at Antonio's look that he made makes me hate his unconventional look more. That he even changed the styling, it actually makes me dislike it more. I actually really enjoyed his unconventional look. I really enjoyed the coat. And now I see these side by side. I don't like either of them, and I think they're really bad, and I question his taste level.
Yeah, Emma Floss over there has to go. I hate her. I just hate her so much.
It's just one of these things where I spend the whole time going, "Who is this for? What are we doing? Why are we? What event is this clothing going to go to? That we're like, this is it. I don't know. This is where my practicality when it comes to fashion makes me dislike a lot of couture because I don't understand the functionality of it. It's not. Where are you going to wear this, girl?
You said a magic word. Couture, avant-garde, and certain aspects of fashion are actually not meant to be practical.
Yes,
they are meant to be a worn piece of art. But you're right about these. Who is wearing, like, genuinely, this looks so early aughts. Like, this is Christina Dirty era.
Yeah.
And even then,
God.
still was not, like, fashionable Christina.
It's meant to be worn art, but it's also meant to be good art that is worn. Not, you know. I am also fascinated by the coat. I really do. I don't know if I like it or if I'd like a better version of it. But yeah, this is another one where the companion piece doesn't connect enough and just looks so much worse.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited about what we've got coming up. We're like halfway through the season. We've gotten through some of the biggest stuff, but like one of the things that I love about Project Runway as you get further into the season is you really get into the mind of the creator because things get a little bit more. The challenges actually do get harder. It actually is like a test where the hardest questions are at the end.
Okay.
And they put a lot of weird filters. It stops being draw us because it's always essentially draw us a picture. It's always draw us an outfit. But by the end, it starts to be like you can only use a blue crayon for this and a red marker for that and watercolor for the rest of it. And you can never, ever put an outline. Go. And the evolution of the idea gets somewhere really lovely. There's nobody who is left that is untalented. However, if I have one prediction for the rest of the season, the final elimination is going to be between the brothers. And they're going to pull some classic Project Runway doing a design off bullshit. I really think they will summon up the twins again. I think they will go full the twins. God, how haven't the twins done a podcast about this season yet? How haven't Muffy and Stuffy done a podcast about this?
Where even are they?
Are they still in fashion, or are they with their friend Katy Perry? And
you're talking about different twins. Okay.
I'm sorry. There was a pair of twins on previously who are famous for being involved in a cheating scandal.
Prior
you sent
to
me an article. Yes.
Sugar and Spice on season 16, they cast these twins, Claire and Sean. And
no.
they were not good designers. They
yes,
really
Claire Bear.
They weren't really good designers, and they were not good seamstresses. But they were
Yes, Shawnee.
Claire Bear.
Shawnee.
They were wild.
My darling.
It culminated in them having to do a design off against one another.
I don't want to do this.
I just want to quit.
She's like, I can't do this. I can't do this without her. While her one twin is actually like, doing the assignment.
She's like, no, I'll beat you. It's fine. Keep going, sweetie. Give me someone to fight. I'm like,
So we've
Wow.
especially on this show, we've dealt with twins before. And that the entirety of season 16, you understand, and I feel bad saying this, you understand why Project Runway got canceled for a couple of years.
Yeah, you do.
Because of season 16.
Yeah.
Season 16 is not a good season.
No.
And bring it to season 16, the last thing I want to say, the fact that we had to have Lyris in that outfit again. She had to stand up on that runway. She tried to sell it.
She had to put up with Zach Posen poking her in the breast, and now she has this.
Now she has to wear this. She has to wear this. She's contractually obligated to wear that.
Oh my god, if I were the Naomi of Plus, I would start throwing fits.
I have to say, the twins of this season aren't even as bad as Shawnee and Claire Bear by any means. I don't like people not acknowledging an advantage that they potentially have. You know, it would be the same if it was a former classmate. Tori, I would never say that I don't have an advantage of our friendship having known you since we were in middle school, because I've known you for like 20 years. That is a thing.
You guys were pickleball bros.
If we split from an egg, I would probably consider that. And not every twin is close, but clearly y'all are, and that's okay.
Right. And we also have to remember, that like even in Drag Race, like just girls that are from the same town are like and like help each other out. Like what everybody else is upset about is the fact that these two have a person where they can literally like toss over the shoulder, help, and then someone comes running. They don't have that. None of the other ones really have that yet or at all. And I think that's what everyone's reacting to, is that they're like, oh, well, they have someone who's just going to drop everything and help them. And I'm like, well, you could go make a friend. You could try. Ethan's over here like prancing around the tallest person in the room going, gosh, I wish I had a friend. And everyone's like, who friends? What? Ooh. Like,
and I think that is and isn't fair. You know, I do agree, because it's the same reason that I think there's merit to the opening challenges being teams. There's a lot of things they're doing to this season and this crew that are things you're just going to have to deal with in the real world of being a designer, which is you're going to be part of a company where you're going to have mandates and you're going to have to cooperate. So that is just a tough choice you're going to have to live with. And then there's things like you're going to have to make hard decisions about who gets cut from an opportunity. And so there's that too.
I just want to say that I do hope that this is in fact the Ian Bernardo that sang Gloria on American Idol. And if you are, I have watched your clips a trillion times. But also, I completely agree, because one of the things that I think that the show is driving to is it's driving to a place where the competition is either...
He's fangirling.
He's fine.
I'm not fine. I'll never be fine. Love you. Stop it. That's part of my day. I really think that one of the things I love the most about this show is that it's pushing itself to a new place for a lot of these designers. And I think we're going to get exactly what Denali was talking about with Utica in the last episode, because she was saying that this is going to push itself to new places, and it's learning from Drag Race, and Drag Race is learning from this. Seeing Roscoe's embraced this the way it has lit up my heart. It's really sold out shows. That's fucking next level for Roscoe's, for another project, for a product that's not theirs. I'm so grateful, and you guys coming along for my favorite show is so exciting.
Well, it's just really me and Tori. It's the three of you's favorite show.
Yeah, but like in fairness, like I was telling Kevo earlier, I was like I am, as of last episode, like kind of locked in now. And for me
I'm the same way.
To start a reality competition show about something that I'm a little about in the first place without having watched any of it before, 4 to 5 episodes is surprisingly early for me to be like, okay, I have stakes in this now. I'm interested.
I love that.
It's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Honestly, for me, I'm not usually a giant reality person. I got into this, because I wanted to be cool. I wanted us to have a thing to watch together. And it's one of the I can more groove to this than I can to Big Brother. You know, I like the artistry. I like the variety of contestants you get. I like that it is part of an actual industry, so there's an actual rubric. You know, Drag Race, there's less a rubric and more a rubric.
Don't call her that.
Listen,
What's she gonna do? Hit me with a train?
Oh, she'd be so proud. Okay. All right. I want where we can find you guys and your winner. Starting with Jonah. Where can I find you, and who do you want to see win?
You can find me online at Peak Jonah. Is it any more obvious than me eating Ethan/Utica's butt every week of how much I enjoy their work, except for the one denim week?
I was gonna say, is there even? Are we each gonna give a separate one? Is there a point?
Ethan Munt Cake.
I have an who I think will win and who will win.
Well, then I'll take both. So Jonah, where can we find you?
You can find me again at Peak Jonah.
All right, Tori, I want your double.
Of course, I want Utica to win. I think it will come down to the top two twins. I think unless something crazy happens, I think it'll come down to the top two twins.
I think Jesus.
And I think it's Jake. I think it's Jesus.
I don't think Antonio's making it to the top.
Yeah, Antonio's not making it to the end.
Oh no, man! We could see anything. You know, I think Madeline is a low out. I think Belania is on the chopping. Joan hasn't had a single high this whole time. I think she could squeak it through.
I mean, I just want to be clear that the bottom half of everybody's discography is in the bottom half of their sellers, and it just takes somebody having a bad week to not make it to the top. So to Tori's point, Antonio could just keep doing not the worst and comfortably get through. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that's
LaShawn Beyond is great, but
I'm there. Yeah, you said where we can find you, right?
you can find me online at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I.
And speaking of people I want to find online, Kevo, you produced this thing so fine. And so I'd love to know where we can find you, and who you think is going to win.
You know, it's tough because up until this week, I was truly rooting for Belania. She's one of my favorite characters from Voyager. I really ship her with Tom Paris. But no, genuinely, I love her, actually. I couldn't help it, but I genuinely love her. I think she's great, but now I don't know.
Yeah.
This new system, is she going to be here? I don't like this system. That is the thing I hope most gets eliminated, is this system of elimination. But I'd love if she could make it to the top. Obviously, like everyone else, I'm rooting for Ethan. I think it'll probably be a twin, probably VJ. I mostly wonder, are we going to get a top 3 or a top 4? We're shaking everything else up. Who knows? You can talk to me about that on the socials at KEVO Really. That's KEVO
TK.
I mean, you know, of course, the obvious answer is Utica. We love her. She's family, and we want to see her do great, and she's doing great, so it's not that hard. I have not personally responded to a lot of her work, but there would be something very funny about VJ winning because she's very mean. And yeah, that face, the face that Nico's making right now.
Do they crown villains on Project Runway? Or
they sure do.
Okay. And I also very
do.
clearly want to say that I don't think VJ is like that much of a villain. I think she's just sick and
No,
tired of your
really.
nonsense.
She's barely Leanne or Gretchen.
She's
She's
Leanne did nothing. You just don't like her.
For me, I see the top being likely Ethan, VJ, and Jesus. And I would not be super happy to see Jesus win because the vibes are just rotten. But between VJ and Utica, I would have a giggle no matter what. That's where I'm at. TK Accidentals, where you can find me to talk about these things. Big man, you're up.
You guys already know, everybody. I'm feeling all sorts of like the top 3 are going to be Utica, Ethan, and a headpiece that she brought. You guys can check me out at NICO Action, NICOACTION. Add music for the tracks. If you guys want to check out more about the show, X is for podcast, X is for comics, X is for show, all over. Like, comment, and subscribe because you're fabulous and we want to know more about you. But 3 things you guys can do for yourselves. Number 1, please stay safe. Number 2, please be brave. Number 3, please evolve daily because who you were yesterday, that is Utica doing Bob Ross. Ross. Who you are today, what? That is Utica killing it at Roscoe's. But who you are tomorrow, oh, baby, that's Utica bragging on the cover of Vogue about how easy it was to win the crown. And we can't wait to see you then. So keep on.